Konnichiwa. I am the Weeaboo Warrior, and this is my Season 2 review of One Punch Man. So, was it as good as Season 1? Not quite. Damn it! The biggest problem is the downgrade in animation. There was a lot of spamming attacks, and they add a blur effect so you can't even see what's going on. And sometimes they'll have Saitama just like hit him like that, and then it'll just show them spiraling off into the distance. So they kind of just avoid showing the animation sometimes, but when they do show it, it's pretty good most of the time. There has been an art style change and some of the characters look a bit different, but I'm okay with that for the most part. A lot of people complain about the metallic shiny parts on people, but I don't really have a problem with that. It only looks kind of weird when you see Genos when he's all naked, but I don't want to see naked Genos anyways. What about the comedy? It was funny. I would say about as funny as Season 1. Now, for the rating. What many of you have been waiting for. 8 out of 10. Take it or leave it. You don't like that? You thought it would be lower? Or maybe higher? Well, I don't care what you think. This is my review. This is your Weeaboo warning. Everything from here on out will be a spoiler for Season 2. So if you haven't watched it yet, and if you don't want to be spoiled, skedaddle. So we start off this season with being introduced to King, the strongest man in the world. Except we find out he's a fraud. He's actually just been taking all of Saitama's credit for all the monsters he's killed. But he didn't even do it on purpose. He did it by accident. It's not his fault. He has the worst luck in the world, but also the best luck in the world at the same time. He's like a monster magnet, but he's also a Saitama magnet. However, he is the only one who can beat Saitama.
I'm gonna beat you this time. Yes.
KO!
Next, we're introduced to Garo, the human monster. When he was a kid, he always liked to root for the monster. And now, as an adult, he's trying to become the monster. It reminds me of myself because I've always liked the bad guys more. Not because I'm bad or anything. Next, Sonic shows up looking for revenge for Saitama crushing his balls, but Genos comes and protects his mighty master, and they start scuffling in the streets. While that's happening, Tatsumaki's not-so-little sister shows up and tries to recruit Saitama to be one of her little groupies. But Saitama, of course, says no. So she attacks him. Doesn't seem very hero-like, but okay. And then she uses her little telekinetic powers. And then they don't work, so her final move is to try to cut his throat with the box cutter. Okay. The fight between Genos and Sonic suddenly interrupts them with a giant explosion. Then, Saitama defeats Sonic by side-skipping back and forth really fast. Garo then beat up one of the Tank Top brothers, incurring the wrath of the entire Tank Top posse, led by Tank Top Master, who has imparted onto me some of the greatest words of wisdom I've ever heard.
Don't try so hard when you're not wearing a tank top.
Tank Top Master actually gives Garo some trouble at first, but Garo then starts using his martial arts and finesses him, along with his other Tank Top brethren. Moomin Rider was there too, but he just got his face pushed into the ground. Garo then suddenly shows up at a park bench next to a child. But he doesn't beat him up. He's actually pretty nice to him, and he asks him politely for his hero book. Garo then reads this hero book and uses the information he learns to defeat heroes in the future. Metal Bat is assigned to protect a rich father and son from Garo, but they end up getting attacked by monsters instead. First, it was sent to Kohai, then sent to Senpai, then sent to Choro. Sent to Choro turned out to be too much for Metal Bat and gets knocked away. This is where he meets up with Garo, and their fight ensues. Garo seemed to have the advantage at first, but then he turned his back on Metal Bat thinking he won. And right before he had his head cracked open like an egg, the most powerful being in all of anime showed up. The Imoto, aka the little sister. She stops the fight with just a word. No more. Garo decides to take a tactical retreat. And with one casual smack, the little sister puts down Metal Bat. Of course, this was actually just because Metal Bat was tired from his injuries, but oh well. In the background, some monsters were watching the fight. Right when they were about to attack Metal Bat in his weakened state, Garo actually comes and saves him. With this, we see Garo is actually not that bad of a guy. He has a soft spot for kids, and he doesn't like monsters killing people. Saitama then decided to join a martial arts tournament to discover the meaning of martial arts. He got a ticket from Chiranko, so he had to go disguised as him. In fact, he was dressed a bit like me. Saitama makes it to the final round of the tournament, one-punching every single contestant. And a new character, Suryu, makes it to the final round by one-kicking every opponent. Saitama and Suryu then start fighting. Well, mostly it was just Suryu trying to attack Saitama. And he's actually pretty strong, but of course, no match for the Big Baldy. Suryu then starts bad-mouthing heroes. And due to this, Saitama gets pissed, and when he gets kicked in the head, he forgets to protect his wig and it falls off. Due to wearing a disguise, Saitama got disqualified, but Suryu wasn't having that, so he kept attacking. And Saitama ended up beating Suryu by hitting him with his butt. The monster Goketsu arrives, and he gives out these things called monster cells, where if you eat them, you become a monster. A bunch of the other martial artists start eating them to try to become monsters, and then Suryu has to end up fighting them. Bakuzan, one of the tournament members who became a monster, began to beat on and torture Suryu, making him beg for mercy, asking for help from the heroes that he just talked bad about earlier.
Somebody! Anybody! Help me! Please! Hero! Anybody!
Saitama then casually one-punches both of them off-screen. King then gives Saitama some of the best advice in the series, telling him just because he's become too strong doesn't mean he can't improve himself in other ways, and that he's far from becoming the perfect hero. But he got that from a manga. Garo tries fighting another S-Class hero, Watchdog Man, who basically looks like Saitama in a dog costume. And as you could expect by anyone who looks like Saitama, Garo actually lost. Garo managed to get away because Watchdog Man doesn't leave his territory, so once Garo left the city, he was no longer pursued. All beaten up and bruised, he was walking down in shame when he saw King. He needed to hunt him to redeem himself. So he goes, he predicts all his movements, and Saitama knocks him out. A messenger from the Monster Association then shows up at the Hero Association asking for peace. Peace between the humans and monsters. Let's live together in harmony. The humans decide to accept, but one of them was thinking in his head, we'll just kill them anyways, making you think, man, maybe the humans are the bad guys. But then the monster just shoots him in the head, not even knowing he was thinking that, and saying, just kidding, humans and monsters can't get along. Duh. The hero Blackluster then shows up and crushes the monster in his muscular grasp. He then tries to calm down the Hero Association by posing for them. There's been some controversy about his appearance, but I'm not a social justice warrior. I'm a Weeaboo warrior. It's outside my expertise. After receiving multiple beatings, Garo was hiding out in the shed in the woods when the kid he met before showed up. His friends forced him to go in to check alone. Garo ends up giving him advice about how to stand up for himself and to become stronger. That's when the heroes showed up. Multiple A and B class heroes surrounded the shed. Garo had to fight even though he was in a weakened state. The fight between him and the heroes was amazing, with him beating on all the different heroes fighting at once, using his skill and technique and just drive to move forward. Like a real monster. After Garo defeats those nobodies, Genos shows up, the coolest hero who never wins. They both go at it in a great fight, and during the fight, one of Garo's eyes and his hair turns red. Some people say it's from the blood and him rubbing it in his hair, while others say it's the start of his monster transformation. I don't know the right answer, but I like to think of it as the beginning of his transformation to become a monster. Garo's master Bang comes in and interrupts their fight. He brought his older brother Bomb with him, and they both ganged up on Garo and started to pound his head into the ground. During this time, Garo was flashing back to his past, to when he was getting bullied as a child. We learned that that was the reason why he wanted to stand up for the losing side. In this case, the monsters. Right when Garo thinks all hope is lost and he's gonna die, Phoenix Man comes swooping in and saves him. Genos doesn't let them get away and he shoots a giant blast at them, but then Centauro comes out and blocks it with his giant body. It's Genos' turn, and then it looks like he might actually be able to do something, but of course he doesn't. Right when it seemed all hope was lost, the true hero of this story showed up. King. With a mighty roar, he called to Elder Centipede, "Come get me!" Elder Centipede was rushing over him as the pounding of the King engine let him know that his demise was coming. And right when the Centipede was about to strike, boom! Saitama out of nowhere. King's ultimate move. The season ends with Garo being taken off into the distance to the Monster Association.